All right, guys, it's time for the Next Level Guy Show, a men's interview, interest, and improvement-focused podcast featuring interviews with the greats from all industries to help you better your life. Each week, a new episode features an interview with one of the greats, covering all aspects of their story, from life hacks to tips and protocols that have allowed them to live life on the next level. We then highlight concrete action steps that you can use to improve your life. And now, your host, Ian Dawson Mackay.
And today's guest is Jordan Preisinger. Jordan, more commonly known as Jordan Teaches Jiu-Jitsu, is a BJJ competitor, coach, business owner, and content creator. His YouTube channel has helped over 169,000 people improve their BJJ. His aim is to help and create content and courses that help you to improve your BJJ quickly and to understand it in depth. His style of teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is different than most, as its primary focus is on highlighting the universal truths, principles, and concepts within Jiu-Jitsu that are easy to remember and utilize, allowing you to learn BJJ at a deep level and level up your Jiu-Jitsu game. In this interview, we discuss Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, concepts, skill development, competing, and how to become limitless on your BJJ journey. And now, let's get to the interview. Thank you so much for coming on. I've been a major fan of yours for ages now. I follow every one of your videos. You've helped me as a big fat guy roll a lot better, win matches more, etc. But for those who maybe don't recognize the name, could you give a quick introduction?
Yeah, I'm Jordan Preisinger I have a YouTube channel called Jordan Teaches Jiu-Jitsu where I really kind of specialize in concepts and clear objectives for people rather than just like specific techniques and whatnot. Although I do show those type of things sometimes, it's definitely focused on like concepts, which I find really helps people learn, especially beginners.
Now, I heard you mention in an interview, I think it was the BJJ Fanatics, where you talked about starting jiu-jitsu because you were feeling a bit of a slacker and you just went into it. And now with an unbeaten record in MMA, multiple wins in jiu-jitsu, etc., did you really just sort of go into it because you wanted something to do, or was there an inspiration, like a spark that got you to start jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, just like the way I am, it's like anything I do, I just want to be like the absolute best at it. Just like my mentality, just like the way I'm wired, I guess. And I've just been like, to be honest, like a slacker, like my whole childhood and teenagehood, and I was like really good at sports, but like didn't ever take it to the next level, even though I could have if I put in the effort. So when it came to jiu-jitsu, I just started training jiu-jitsu with the goal of being the best, being a champion, and getting to the UFC because I wanted to be an MMA fighter first. And, I had my eyes set on the UFC championship belt, and, things kind of went a little different. I kind of fell more in love with jiu-jitsu, and even though I still love MMA and I love striking, but that's just, I think one of the worst things that you can do is waste potential. So that's what I did as a kid, and I'm very regretful for that. But even now, I'm still currently wasting a little bit of potential because I know I could do very well competitively, but it's just hard with like a family and a business and the YouTube channel and everything is just so busy. But I do plan on getting back to competing, later in this year. I just need to get things in order, and then I'm excited to show everyone what I'm made of.
I love how you're excelling at everything. Like, you've got a great family, you're a great father, you do all these amazing things, you're competing, you're coaching, and you're just like, I need to do more. It seems, do you think that's a personality trait of yours? It's always like you can push yourself better. Because I know what it's like when you feel you haven't really, like, part of the reason I started this channel was because I wasn't living the life I knew I could be, but I didn't know how to take that step. You're very much a sort of self-taught person and learning all the skills you need. Do you think that's what's helped you become this kind of maestro in so many different things, that unquenchable thirst for success and for learning?
Yeah, I would say so. I'm just like, super competitive and like just when it comes to anything, it's like you play any like sort of game or anything. I just want to, I just want to win so bad. And like, I really enjoy like the competitive nature. So anytime we play like it can be a video game or board game or like cards, I like to like just talk a little bit of shit, not in like a negative, like rude way, but I like to get like, everyone just like hyped up, like they want to win and beat me and stuff like that. I just like that. I just find that really fun. So, yeah, like I have a hard time like sitting still and like doing nothing. I just like to always be doing stuff. So like, if I'm going to spend my time doing something, it should be something productive. And I view other people like that are successful just as normal people because that's what they are. And I can be just like them. So like, my goal is to succeed in life and just have a great story because like if your life is a book at the end of your life, you want to have an interesting story. And I want to have a super interesting story where people are going to read that and be like, oh man, that's pretty amazing. So like yeah, I don't know, I don't have like specific motivation too much. Like, I just like doing stuff and achieving and whatnot.
Because that's what I really liked about your channel. Like, was when I came in, every other sort of jiu-jitsu channel was showing you how to do a move, and then it was like, do this, flip into this, roll into this, back, and it was like, what the how on earth do you do that against a resisting opponent? What do you do if they do this? And then when I found your channel, and I was like, suddenly it clicked, because you were actually focusing on high quality footage of rolling against a resisting opponent, showing what they did right, what you did right, what went wrong, how they would fix it, the grips, and just it was beautifully done. It's so inspiring to see, and I think that's why you're so popular on it, because you're actually showing people how to use jiu-jitsu, not just like repetitively do a move. You're actually showing how to do it, and you go against big guys, small guys, world champions, and everything in between. But how do you see your students? Because, like we said, you follow your self-taught, sort of self-learning sort of mechanisms. Do you see people struggling in jiu-jitsu because they memorize a move but don't understand how to apply it? Because I'm always a big fan of like the kit Dale, learn the concept rather than the technique. Because if you know the concepts of how to use it, the technique doesn't really matter because you can apply it from anywhere. Are you a Roger Gracie fan of fundamentals only, become a master of that, or Ferrara, who did pick three moves and became a god in them, or how where do you see guys going wrong in learning jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I would say there's a huge problem in jiu-jitsu where people they like think that technicality is like memorizing a bunch of techniques, and it's all techniques are just like grip sequences. So you grip here and then you grip there, and it's like a sequence. It's like a replacement system, so you're always controlling the person, right? And what people don't really understand, it's not taught, is the actual in between the grappling between the techniques, right? So like I think it's very hard for people to navigate and learn jiu-jitsu because of that. And that's pretty much what everyone's doing out there, just showing techniques. And like, I feel like they're doing a disservice to grapplers that want to learn. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm better than everyone else, like as a teacher or anything like that. But like, I think I am actually teaching, what people need to learn, which is like actually how to grapple. Right. So like, for example, like, if you're technical in jiu-jitsu, you should be able to just be in your half guard and never get your guard passed because you're not giving them, inside position. You're not giving them underhooks, not letting them grab your head and stuff like that. Those are so important. But instead, what you learn in half guard is like, do this sweep, do that sweep, and or this attack, that attack, and how are you supposed to memorize and do all these things when you're not even defensively sound and technical? So like, yeah, I think it's a huge problem in grappling. So I'm trying to really, break away from the mold. And I've said this in other podcasts too, where it's like, to be successful on YouTube, you need to be either first, different, or the best. And, I wasn't first, that's for sure. And, but I knew I could be the best, but no one's going to realize I'm the best unless I'm different. So, my mind was always like, how can I do things different than everyone else? And how can I always improve? Like that's always on my mind, is always improving. So, I don't ever want to, I want to be the best in every area. That's just like, that's what motivates me. I want people to watch my channel and be like, that's the best channel there is, and, I think everyone on YouTube should have that mentality and be competitive with each other that way. But yeah, to go back to your question, like, I think, yeah, I just don't like, I had the same problem, like learning jujitsu, like how, like it's just, you just learn this collection of techniques, and it's just useless in my opinion. Like if you don't know what you're actually supposed to do and the objectives are. And, in my opinion, like everything is fundamentals for the most part, because you just need to learn how the body works, and, in relation to the other person's body, and you learn like leverage, and you learn, what grips to take and stuff like that. But, yeah, that's like, again, it's not taught. So like, it's very much, I think Bernardo's approach of like, getting really good at specific things is a very good way to improve quickly. I think Kit Dale's way of like conceptual is good, even though I don't know too much about what he's teaching, and so I can't comment too much on it. But like, I think some people teach concepts in a very confusing way, where it's like more confusing than even like just learning techniques. So like, I feel like if someone's trying to explain something and I don't even understand it, and I'm a black belt that's a decent teacher, it's like, how's a white belt supposed to understand this? So, yeah, I'm not a big believer in like advanced techniques, only in the sense that like the body works the way it works, and if you understand how it works, then these techniques aren't really that complicated.
Because I've got like obsessive compulsive disorder. Sadly, don't have the one where I keep a clean house, but I've got the one where I focus on things. So if you show me a move, I'm like, great, but what do I do with it? Where do I go? And I found myself rolling in like installments. It was almost like, you paid 30% for this. So you'd suddenly stop at a really stupid place, because I was like, well, what do I do now? And that's why I like your channel. It's like do this to this and then watch this. And, as soon as you defend, okay, block this and this, and don't let somebody grab you around the head, and don't let them inside this area. And it goes, right, okay, so I know automatically, like, I like doing systems, and I go, okay, I can do that, switch that. And I think that's why you're one of the best YouTubers, because you're showing people how to apply the move, and what to do when they do this, and where this went wrong and broke down. And that is really rare in jiu-jitsu, because no one wants to show that. No one wants to show their footage in case they get swept or whatever. And you're showing in your videos why you got swept, how you can fix it, how you switch between the two. That's really rare. And I love that you're letting us learn by watching you learn as you go along. But some say 2 days, 3 days, not enough for jiu-jitsu. Some say you need a day's like additional training and strength conditioning. I'm a big fan of some extra strength stuff. I've had Josh Settlage on. Don't know if you know him, but he's a big component on strength and conditioning in addition to this. Kieran Leferi that we talked about. I'm sure I'm butchering his surname. How do we structure a good training week? I mean, I'm 40 now. Does it change for the younger pups, or do we still think 2 days jiu-jitsu is enough? 3 days? Should we be splitting up a one session strength conditioning? What's your sort of take on a good training week for a jiu-jitsu hobbyist athlete, however you want to call them?
Yeah, like it's hard to give specific advice, only because like everyone has different different factors in their life. Like if people are more stressed out than others, they're not going to recover as quickly as other people. Like that's such an important thing, is to try to live a stress-free life, which I'm trying to do, because when your body's in a state of stress, it's the exact same as being you can't recover. Like you're not in recovery mode if you're stressed, right? So it's going to be very hard to train like 5-6 days a week if you can't even recover, because your body's in a state of stress. So that's one thing that's really important, and everyone is so stressed out there, including myself, right? So like that's one thing everyone should work on. But and it also factors in what they're eating, their lifestyle, everything like that. So, but people say, I've heard people say that, oh, twice a week is like useless basically, and those people are just crazy, because like I think people take jiu-jitsu too seriously, and in the sense that like it's just a good time. It's a sport. It's have fun. If you do twice a week, are you going to be as good as someone that trains 4 times a week? Like probably not. But are you still going to be good and enjoy what you're doing? Probably. And that's what matters most. And I've said this a lot in other podcasts as well, that like I think if your goal isn't to be the absolute best in the world, then it's not a big deal if you're not the best in your gym, or you're not it's just like you can be not great at something and still enjoy it. Like there's things that I'm not great
Yeah.
at, but I still enjoy. And, if I put the time and effort, maybe I would get like really great at it, but I'm okay with like being mediocre at some things, but some things I'm not okay with being mediocre at, including jujitsu and martial arts in general. So, I think strength and conditioning is important for people that lack physicality, like, because I've just been really lucky to have genetically just like I can build muscle very easy. I'm very like strong and very mobile and flexible. And, I just kind of got lucky that way. So I don't really do a whole lot of strength and conditioning or anything outside of jiu-jitsu, just like a little bit. But, as someone, if they're just naturally kind of like weaker, yeah, they would definitely need strength is going to help them for sure. And just building a strong body, because that's also like going to help you prevent injury, right? Like I never get injured because not only because I have like a strong body, but also because I understand how to be aware of, what's dangerous and what's not. So I always keep myself out of danger. So a lot of times people, they maybe think that jiu-jitsu is like a dangerous sport and whatnot, but it's only as dangerous as people make it, so you can definitely minimize risk of injury, and you can excel in jiu-jitsu faster if you prioritize that, right? So yeah.
Because this kind of leads on, because when you said about people take it too serious and it's a sport and it should be fun, I think that's a big component. Is I see people stall like myself where it stops becoming fun. You take it too serious, and then you sort of bunker down on the moves, and you don't progress if it's not fun. And I think a big thing is that ego thing to people where they're, oh, I don't like being a beginner. I'm a master in my job. I'm a master, like I've got the wife, I've got the kids, I'm the breadwinner, whatever it is. But suddenly you put guys who are very positive about themselves into an area where they're getting beaten up by a young girl who's purple belt, who knows leverages and throws and stuff, and she starts throwing people around. A lot of guys go, oh, fuck, I don't like this. I'm going to get out of this. Do you find that where it's like people need to kind of just relax and enjoy jujitsu? Is this how we can focus on the self learning? It's having fun, exploring yourself. Because I like to think of jujitsu as like, the video game maps. As you learn one thing, the bit more of the map opens up, so you learn the next thing, and it's that joy of touring around the map. How do you encourage that self learning, I suppose, self voyage of discovery in your students? Is there a way to ignite that spark in them?
I don't know. I don't really think so. I think that you either, I think it's hard to get motivation if you don't have it. I think it's like you're motivated by things or you're not. So like, I'm
Mm.
motivated by certain things, and like I don't know, when it comes to like people not being not being happy with not being good at something, I think people need to get that out of their head, because like it's just a prerequisite to becoming an expert is sucking at something, and I just accept that 100% when I do something. Like when I started striking, it was like 3 or 4 years after I've been doing jiu-jitsu. So I was pretty good at jiu-jitsu. And then I started striking. I was terrible, but like I was okay with that, like because I knew I was going to be good. I knew that if I put the years in and the time, I'm going to be good. So another example is like I was commentating some like super fights, like a grappling event, and with another guy who's like he's done this many times before, and he's like good at interviewing and stuff. And like I asked him like, can I do like an interview like post match, like go up on stage in front of everyone and like ask the guy questions. And I knew going into it I was gonna be very nervous and just do it awful and say stupid things. And that's exactly what happened. I was just like I don't know, and I just didn't make any sense. But like that was okay with me, because I knew I had to be crappy at it first, and then I know next time I'm going to be better at it, and then next time after that I'm going to be better at it. So,
That's what
that's
I
just
do in
people
this
need.
podcast every week. I'm like that. It's
Yeah, the same with me, because when I started my podcast, I was not good at it at all, but it just came with time, and I accepted that. Same with the YouTube channel. It's like the YouTube videos at first weren't great, and people would tell me, "Oh, they like the videos," and I'd be like telling them like, "No, like thank you, but." It's just wait until you see like a year from now or 6 months from now, like then they're going to be really good. So yeah, I just accepted that, and people need to accept that more. People just want to get good right away, but that's not how you get good.
because that's when I first started. I was like, I was really good at all the moves. I could do them like I was in a PE class, and it's like, oh, I'm a good boy. I can do all these moves. Suddenly going into rolling, I was like, what the hell is going on here? I didn't know how to hold people. I didn't know, because nobody had kind of showed me how you start using that. Nobody had kind of said to have fun. It was suddenly like I tapped. I was a loser. If I was getting beaten up by somebody, I was ashamed. I was like, what on earth? And I think that's the thing. It's like we need to stop taking it so serious. It needs to be fun. It needs to be, oh, let's go. I like being new because it lets me open up and learn about this stuff. Because how boring would life be if you only did what you were good at? Do you think, like, I kind of got into understanding of spatial awareness because I always thought being a big guy, I was brilliant. I could crush people, throw them around. I could catch people more often. What I found was long legs, long limbs, are not good. Big guys tend to have their elbows out, so they get like arm dragged and all sorts. How do you work with a student to understand where their body is in real time before they start rolling in the mats? Because I'm assuming, like me, they probably get caught with leaving an arm out, they leave a leg without realizing it because you're so focused on try stay up or focus or what you're doing, you forget. You're going here, armbar this, heel hook this. Do you think that's just learned by rolling more, or do you think you can teach somebody? I don't know if you know Rob Bernanke, like base structure, etc. Is that learned as you do jiu-jitsu, or is there a way to learn how to know where your limbs are in real time with the matrix kind of stuff? I know it's a waffle question, but
No. I think it's a combination of both because, I think that when you give people specific objectives, it makes things a lot easier. So, for example, we do a lot of drills at my gym, and a new person comes and they start with a drill that's like, passing the guard, but not just like, oh, you got to pass the guard. Because that's confusing. It's a lot of objectives there. But if the drill is very simple, like this one we do, it's you have to keep their feet off of you, and their feet touch you, which basically means they're establishing a guard. You have to do 3 jumping jacks. But if you can get all the way around to a 180-degree angle, right, to you don't have to drop down chest to chest north south. You just need to get that angle, right, to clear the legs, and then they do 3 jumping jacks. So the objective is so clear. It's like keep the feet off of you and get around the legs, get around the guard. So I've had brand new students come in and they do that drill to start, and then when they actually grappling, it's a very specific objective. They understand that, so there's not so much going through in their minds. So I think that the more we can break jiu-jitsu down into specific objectives, the easier it's going to be for people, and then they can start learning and applying techniques, because everyone needs to slow it down. Like when I grapple, I really it's kind of different sometimes on the YouTube channel because I need to kind of keep it entertaining and be fast and stuff like that. But my normal grappling, I'm very relaxed, very just waiting for my opportunities, making sure my elbows are tight first and just everything. They can't grab my head, and then people make mistakes because they don't know where to grab. They're like, crap, where do I grab if I can't get an underhook? I can't grab his head either. Where do I grab? And as they're trying to figure it out and trying to do different things, well, I'm just relaxed waiting, and then I take my opportunities. So, and it's not because, oh, I'm really good that I can stop them from, taking these grips. It's like, no, it's because I'm disciplined. I know I can't let them grab my head. I can't let them get an underhook. Those two things are just overpowered with how much they can help people. Right. So it's kind of a funny thing for me, because I can be so relaxed rolling and basically do next to nothing while the other person's trying to figure out what to do, and they mess up. And, if I can, I can do it, other people can do it too. Because again, it's nothing special I'm doing. Certain things I use my physicality and, flexibility and, whatnot. But when it comes to just pure defense, it's nothing crazy. It's just preventing inside position and blocking space and stuff like that. Everyone can learn that. So I also talked about this in my last podcast for Talk Jitsu. I think sometimes people make excuses for themselves, oh, I'm not good because of this or that, or but in reality, you're just not technical enough. And it's not because you haven't memorized techniques. It's because you haven't understood the objectives. You haven't understood how important it is to do things defensively. And, if you slow it down, you can think about the techniques you did learn in class, but people, they're too busy thinking about the stuff they learned and try to apply it, and not, and not spending enough time just relaxing and being defensively sound.
Because I'm assuming that you learn sensitivity, awareness, timing, etc. during a role. You kind of get better at anticipating where an opponent might go, or visualizing options, etc. Do you find that there are like basic concepts that you drill into your students? It's like you're saying, as soon as you defend, okay, I can't let them get, like an arm around their head. I can't let them, start stacking my knees towards my chest or something like that. Are there three? I know it's kind of a general question, but are there three basic kind of ideas that you want somebody attacking and somebody defending to do, so that immediately when you switch into attacking or defending, you can go, what was that again? Okay, make sure they can't get an arm around my head, close the space, this for defending, or I'm immediately wanting to open the hip and the elbow, or are there basic rules that we should adopt when attacking, defending in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, 100%. And I go over this a lot in my upcoming theory course, but I'll share just a lot of it now because I like talking about it. So like, yeah, let's just get started with defense. Yeah, never let someone grab your head ever, because that's inside position. Never let someone grab an underhook, because that's inside position. And never let someone get chest to chest unless you have an underhook, right? So if someone gets chest to chest on you with those grips, you're screwed. So you need to use your frames to keep them away. Your frames are your knees and your shin, or your elbow and your forearm. Like that's what we use to defend, right? And then our grips are our hands and our feet. That's what we use to grip people. But grips can also frame. So we need to always be gripping people, searching for inside position, preventing grips on us, preventing inside position. We need to always keep our frames in front until we can get grips, and we need to always make sure our frames are facing people, because like defensively, if your frames are pointing away from your opponent, they can't be used for their purpose, which is managing distance, right? So those things are really important. So when you're on the ground, say the bottom, you need to always be gripping. With everything you have, you've got four limbs, your hand, like your arms and your legs. You need to use every single one you have. Like if you don't, you put yourself at a disadvantage. And when it comes to the top, it's pretty similar. It's like you need to make sure their frames are pointing away from you. You need to make sure they're not gripping you. You need to make sure that you're working to move their frames out of the way and whatnot. You need to make sure their frames are also facing away from the mat, because if they can put their grips too, they can put their feet on the mat, well, they can stand up, and now you got to take them down and whatnot, right? Or if they put their knees on the mat, well, now they're in turtle and they could possibly stand up. So there's so many like clear objectives. Another one is like, you need to always put your chest on people to control them. So like all the dominant positions are like this. So you, like mount, your chest to chest, side control, chest to chest, half guard, chest to chest, assuming they don't have a knee shield, which is a frame. You have the back, your chest to back, and you always want to be centered on them. You want to keep their back on the mat. Like jiu-jitsu people need to be more, they need to understand more from other grappling martial arts like Sambo and judo and wrestling. It's all about pinning. You pin someone, you control them, right? So what is a pin? Their back is on the mat. And because that objective isn't clear in jiu-jitsu, people will just let people constantly turn on their side. And, how do you escape side control? You get on your side. How do you escape mount? You get on your side. How do you escape anything? You get on your side, right? So if you pin people down, you prevent the escapes. And how do you pin? Again, you keep them on their back. How do you do that? You put your chest on them. So like, there's some other ways, but like your chest is the main one for sure. And it's like I feel like knowing all these objectives has made me so much better at jiu-jitsu, because now I wing it less, and I don't need to like think about techniques and stuff. I'm just like, I know the objective is clear. So yeah, it's like there's so many, like there's not even that many, to be honest. There's like, I could probably write down like 20 objectives, and that's all you need to know to be a good grappler, and then add in techniques and you'll be effective offensively. So yeah.
Well, I am definitely buying that course, because I have yet to watch one of your videos and not taken a key component, a key kind of focus on it. That might be something as simple as, well, you're passing as you want their shoulder, both of their shoulders to their mat. If they come up on their side, they're doing this. Even if I don't understand the move or have the ability to do the rolly, flippy stuff, or it is, I still go, that's why you do that. Okay, that's what to do there. Or do this before, like to stabilize the position before you did this. And it makes sense. And I don't know why. You just have this knack of showing great examples and doing your voiceovers to it. It's just phenomenal content. You mentioned there about staying relaxed, being open and kind of not panicking and waiting to see what they do. Is that, this is going to sound a wee bit weird, is there a way to look at an opponent when you're defending and seeing where they're going? Like in the Rocky films, they were saying you don't look at the fist, you look at the you look at the shoulder, because that's where the punch is coming from. It might not actually be the Rocky films. Is there a way you can look at the opponent and know that if their knees focusing out one way, it means they're going for this particular pass? If they're shaping a certain way, does that kind of understanding come as you become a better jiu-jitsu player? Or can you start seeing, well, they only have these options from here? Can you sort of learn that as a white belt, blue belt onwards? If that
Yeah, I think it's a
makes sense.
combination. Yeah, no, it does, and I think it's a combination of both. Like you definitely learn over time, but because the more you grapple, the more you see that there's not really that many options in jiu-jitsu when it comes to like certain things. Like you can only go forward or back. Really, you can only go side to side. Like there's just like a lot of times when I'm commentating, it's like and I'm looking at the footage, it's like there only are two options here, in or out, right? So like I think that because jiu-jitsu can be so confusing for people, they don't realize that there's few options, right? So if someone's like has me in, like they're trying to pass through my guard, they got one leg through. Well, I know they're going to try to either knee slide or they're going to try to go side smash. Some people call that a folding pass, or maybe they're going to try to do like a quick X pass. Like I know what their options are, and I know what I need to do to prevent them. So, I think it comes with time, but it can also be like fast track just by like starting to understand that jiu-jitsu actually isn't that complex as people think it is. Which like some people might think like, oh, but it is so confusing. But it's like, no, I think they make it way more confusing in their head and way more than they need to. And in reality, it's like our bodies can only do, they can only move certain ways, like left or right, forward or back. So yeah, it's like, I think it's less confusing than people realize.
Because I used to always look at opponents and go, "Oh my god, he's going to do this," and I don't know why he's going to. I'm panicking, and I'd be analysis by paralysis. I'd be like so much thinking about what they were doing. I was just leaving things open, and they were coming and going in. And then I discovered pressure passing, and I became this fat beast of a thing that would just, like the Michelin, like the Marshmallow Man. I would kind of absorb and squash people and all, and I felt like I was amazing. And then I found I wasn't progressing as quickly as I wanted to because I fell back on always being top game, always being pressure passing. And I can't remember which video it was, but I remember you mentioning about how big guys need to defend, big guys need to do the like other styles like fast passing or fast game. They can't just rely on that, where small guys need to learn how to pressure pass and stuff like that. How do we build a game where we're not reliant on like our physicality, or we're reliant on that worked for us? Should we all big guys be playing bottom and like guard retention and inversions and stuff? We're all small people trying to control people like pressure passing, tawsy passing, that sort of thing. Do we need to learn all round and start now rather than when we're purple, black, etc., and not having big chunks missing from our game?
I think it depends, like I think people should use their physicalities, but at the same time, you want to use the minimal effective dose. So like, when it comes to, I can pressure pass, people that are my size and bigger, like that makes sense to do, or speed pass can make sense to do. But like, going as someone that's like 120, 130 pounds, like a lady or like a, smaller guy, like why would I be using all my strength on them to hold them down? Like it doesn't make sense. So like, I find it more challenging to roll with someone very small that's technical than someone that's really big and strong, which it might be less technical because, yeah, I could crush these little people if I wanted to, but like I want a technical battle, So like, for example, there's like a lady at our gym. Her name's Tanya. She's 110 pounds, and we have great rolls all the time. It's not a waste of time at all for me. I need to out technique her, and I need to be aware of her, her size at the same time and not crush her. And it's like I got to be like faster and use like angles and technique way more. So because I've seen people online being like, oh, it's like a waste of time to roll with the ladies. I can just like, curl, I can just curl my arm to get rid of the arm bar or whatever. It's like, well, you're just like admitting you're just using strength, right? So which strength is, you need to use strength 100% at times, but like, you don't need to use it on someone that's weaker than you, right? It doesn't make sense. It's like, yeah, some strength, but you use technique first, right? And then people that are, stronger than you, 100% use as much strength as you need to get the job done. It's like the minimal effective dose though. So, I think that people that are strong and big, they should, use that against people their size and bigger. Against people that are smaller, they should, change up their style, roll differently. Like there's time and place for different styles. And people that are smaller, they should, use their speed to their advantage for sure. And so like I've seen it before. People like they just kind of hold her in side control, and like if they do manage to pass their guard, and then they don't do anything, they just like, oh, it's a victory. I'm holding this person down, pinning them, but like they're using like all their strength to do it, and like what kind of role is that? You don't need to let people kick your ass and stuff, but you need to keep the role going, right? So it's a really frustrating thing for me to see like people that are bigger just like use all their physical advantages, and to make up for the lack of technique.
It's time for a quick break. There are millions of potential products to buy, so how do you know which ones are worth your hard-earned money? Simple. You go to nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and explore those that will transform and improve your life. You'll find deals, listener exclusives, and special offers with some great companies. Recommendations are 100% honest and only on items Ian has tried or believes in. The companies showcased will make you a better man in all areas of your life. Simply go to nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and level up.
So a lot of gyms come from the viewpoint that newbies should roll from their knees, or you occasionally get them when they then move to standing up, they go, oh, what do I do here? And everybody immediately pulls guard, or we have 5 minutes of that kind of hagging back and forth with no one really doing anything or no one really learning. What's your approach? Like one of the gyms I spoke to, they said you're not allowed to pull guard. Whatever you do in the first round, but close guard is banned because it should be an advanced move that you use to set things up rather than I'm going to hold you because I don't know anything else. So they try to get people to focus more. Do you have a rule with your students where they roll from the knees, or do you get them rolling from the feet and they are to do X, Y, and Z? What's your approach for a student when they're starting a roll?
Yeah, so in my opinion, like rules like that are dumb, but that's just my own opinion. I'm not talking shit, but like because like people should just do what they want, and develop the styles they want to develop. Because like it's a recreational sport, if it was like a competitive sport, like in the sense that it's more like hardcore, like wrestling or sambo or judo, where it's like really like you got to win, it's going to be different. Or MMA, if we're training MMA and you're pulling guard, it's like, well, yeah, you're not allowed to pull guard. But like, this is jiu-jitsu. Most people are recreational practitioners, and the 100% takedowns are the most likely thing to get you hurt. And this is a sport people don't want to, people might disagree, but this is a ground sport. Like this is the one we do on the ground. Yeah, we need to get to the ground, but there's better sports for getting that job done, like wrestling and judo and sambo, all this stuff. So like, you can definitely get good at takedowns and utilize them if you want to, but if you don't want to, I don't think it's a big deal at all just to be on the ground. And, like when it comes to actually being on your knees, I think that's pointless. Like two people on their knees, like trying to like wrestle each other down. I think one person should just play guard and the other person work to pass. And, those are the skills that we're working on. Like those are the most important skills in jiu-jitsu. Takedown is not nearly as important. And, not everyone does it for self-defense. If you're doing it for self-defense, yeah, learn takedowns. But at the same time, I don't do takedowns every class. I start standing when I want to, when I feel like, yeah, it's a good night. I'm feeling good. Let's have some good rounds. I'm going to take you down. But like, I'm not always feeling like that. So I just want to start on the ground. Let's just do only jiu-jitsu. It's not a big deal. So yeah, having those rules, I think that they can lead to people getting hurt and not having as much fun. And just because the instructor thinks it's best for them doesn't mean it is best for them. Right. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that.
Because when I started at Gracie Baja years ago, before I'm in the current gym I'm now, I can remember we all used to all start on the knees in GB1, I think it was called. And then as you went up into the more advanced tab system, you were allowed to suddenly start standing from your feet. And I can remember people going, oh God, oh God. And then they would quickly sit down again because they didn't want to take a risk standing up, because suddenly that opened up this new world of like potential threats. But the gym I'm in now, they get you to stand straight away. If you want to pull guard, if you want to go to the ground, whatever, straight away, that's your prerogative. But they want you to learn takedowns. They want to, so you're not scared of being standing up, which is probably a better way to do it. But like you're saying, there's still a lot on the ground, etc. So how do you roll? Because I like how when you're competing, you seem to be 3 steps ahead. You're already thinking, I'll do this, that'll move into here, and I'll go here. But if he does that, I'll go here and not here. Is that just with skill, or are you automatically not thinking, I'm defending? You're thinking, okay, spin off his hips here, put the knee shield in, that'll let me space here to go up and to take a back take, for example. Or, how do you think about it in chains rather than, oh God, he's pushing down, I need to block here. And then what do I do? How do you make jujitsu an actual system in a way rather than just this move, this move, this move? Because that's where I struggle. I don't know how to think a route that I'm going rather than I'll do this move and then have no idea what I'm doing from there until I see another move. But I'm not chaining them together into an expression of jiu-jitsu rather than just a couple of words.
Yeah, I think for me, it's probably a lot different than most people, or especially beginners, is because like I don't think when I roll at all. Like I just completely go like blank basically, and sometimes it's to
Okay.
a fault where I'm just like thinking about other stuff, but my body's doing what it needs to be done. So, you really develop muscle memory after rolling for over a decade, and your body knows what their options are, and your mind does too, but. I think it comes mostly down to the body for sure, because you want to be like the ideal place to be is in a state of flow, like Zen, which is actually with the like my gym, like the Enso symbol. It's to what it means is to free your mind and let your body create. So it's really hard to flow when you're constantly thinking in your head. But how do you get things done when your body doesn't know the answers, but your mind is you need to rely on your mind to do it. But then if you think you're going to be slower and you're going to react slower. So it's a tough thing that I think that is mostly developed. But like I said before, I think it can be fast tracked by understanding simple objectives, because like it's just headquarters is the perfect example. There's only so many things you can do in headquarters, and there's only so many things they can do when someone has you in headquarters. And it's such a common passing position. People should like learn the most common areas of grappling, which in my opinion, it's half guard and headquarters, because people, they often enter through the guard to pass. Right. So those two things are really important. And then, also understanding like how to go around the guard, like Toriano passes, and then how to defend people going around the guard, which is, you grip on them. So I think that, it can be harder for me for sure to give advice on that, just because my circumstance is just so different, because I am I've been training so long and I am very technical. So it's like, I just know what to do almost. Like, I feel like, without sounding cocky, I feel like I'm always ready for anything, but it's not like because my mind is, because my body is. So yeah.
So do you think that's a case of routinely learning the move till it becomes so so you have that sensitivity into it, but then throwing it into movement, looking, analyzing the opponent, learning, like you're saying, they can only go up, down, left, right, like the computer game characters, then thinking, okay, let's see this. Okay, that leads to this, so you get so used to that, you can switch your brain off. You can just focus on letting your body express itself in the movement, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
exactly. And yeah, and so many positions are like this where there's only so many things you can do. So for example, like if you're in like a half guard butterfly, you can do a butterfly sweep. You can, transition to like a shoulder crunch, like when you use your elbow, and or you could maybe you go underneath for X guard or something like that. But then if you really think like, how many more options are there from there? It's like, well, not a lot. So like, there's a couple others, but like, there's only so much you can do. And I think that one problem with jiu-jitsu is that people have thrown out so much information at people where it's so hard to navigate and it's very confusing. And a lot of, I don't want to say it's wrong or anything, but it's like, I think a lot of it's like unnecessary almost. It's like, we just need to keep it simple. And yeah, I think that it's almost like people gatekeep jiu-jitsu unintentionally by making it so confusing. So yeah, it's something that's a little frustrating for me.
And do you think everybody needs to compete? Do you only kind of truly learn like who you are and how good you are at jiu-jitsu by competing? Because I think it was Rob Bernanke who said jiu-jitsu is one of the few sports where you can train at it without actually using it. Like in football, you go to your training, but you play in the game. Whereas a lot of sports, you actually have to participate in it. Whereas a lot of people will train jiu-jitsu but never compete. So they never really truly use the art they're learning. Do you think we all have to compete?
No, not at all. Because, yeah, a lot of people don't like competing, including myself. I compete because I've competed because I want to prove myself. But like, I don't like competing. I find it very stressful, and it's not something I want to do with my time. I don't like going to the tournament and like you just feel like the hot air, like it's muggy, it's loud, and it's like the last thing I want to do is compete right now. And I like Rob Bernanke, but I kind of disagree with him in a sense that like, we are doing jujitsu. We're not practicing it. People want to act like all the time, like we're just, it's just training, which it is in a sense, but it's, if you're not competing and that's all you're doing, that's what you're doing. So for example, like, if I like playing recreational soccer, I know you guys call it football, but like, I like playing recreational. I don't want to play competitive soccer. It's not something that interests me at all because it's too serious, too fast paced, too like, it's just, I don't find it fun. I like playing recreational and just having a good time. But am I just practicing by doing recreational soccer? I don't think it's like practicing, because you can have soccer practice to, practice. So I kind of view it the same way. It's like when you're in the gym, you're more so doing like a recreational, matches and games, just, having fun. And then if you want to compete, it's more like doing like the competitive soccer in that sense. So like, I don't play, yeah, like when I played like men's league, after like, playing high school and everything. I played soccer a long time, but I started playing men's league and I just didn't like it. I was like, yeah, I just rather just play like, with guys that are just average or whatever, even though I can like, maybe it's like not fair too. Cause I'm like, I was a pretty good soccer player, but I just didn't, I don't like that competitive. I don't really enjoy that. So I don't think anyone should be forced to do anything they don't want to do. And everyone should just be, do jiu-jitsu for the reasons they want to do it, and yeah, do what they want to do. So I don't like when people like try to force people to compete or like act like they're not actually doing jiu-jitsu because they're not competing. Like, you are doing jiu-jitsu, you're just doing it recreational, which is no problem with that.
So then how would you take if somebody does want to compete, but they're wanting to actually build in and give it a good go? How would you go taking somebody from, yeah, okay, they turned up, they had a good day, to actually on the podium? Do you find, is there a certain focus that you would do like a training camp with somebody? I mean, because you're undefeated in MMA, you're smashing people left, right, and center in jiu-jitsu. How do you dial in your training for a competition? Does it change? Does your eating change? Do you focus on certain things, or is it all just about rolling, having fun, and just giving it your all in the day? Do you change as a person when you compete? Do you think? Do you mentally shift? I know you probably have do you have like a mantra before you roll? Do you do anything special? How do you approach competing?
Yeah, for me, like I do have a little bit of a mantra. It probably sounds like cocky, but like I'll just tell myself, like, I'm Jordan Preisinger. I can do this. They should be more scared of me than I am of them. So like, I just tell myself I'm Jordan Preisinger. So that's something that kind of helps me. And when it comes to getting people like ready for tournaments and stuff, I view it a lot as like I'm going to help them get ready, but their success will also be dependent on how much they want to win. So, I never needed someone holding my hand to train hard. I never needed that. I never needed someone to tell me do this, that, and this. Like I did everything I could to make sure that I got the win. And the same thing is going to happen because I probably will start competing later in the year, and I'm not going to need any help from anyone in the sense that like I'm going to make sure that I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm going to make sure that I'm ready to beat everyone, and I'm going to leave no stone unturned. But like if someone doesn't do those things, then maybe they just don't want it enough. Because you can still achieve the results without putting you're all into it. But when I do something, I want to ensure results. I want to be there's no question I'm going to win. So you know I don't like to like force people into like training super like harder than they want or doing things they don't want to do. It's just like be honest with them. It's like these are things you should be doing if you really want to ensure you win. And but it's on you. Everyone's responsible for themselves. And again, not that I'm not going to help as a coach. Like that's not the case at all. But we got to put a lot more responsibility on the athletes for sure.
I like that because it's one thing to say like eat this 3 times a day, do this running, do this kind of submissions. If you're not drawing that motivation, then there's not really much point going. Unless you're going there just have a bit of fun and learn about your jiu-jitsu, learn about yourself. Because it is like an intrinsic motivation. And a lot of people don't do that. They go there because they think they're going to be the best and then compare themselves so that they get beaten and stuff, rather than going there and, like you're saying, knowing that you need to be there in great shape. You need to be training hard. And if you're not doing that, learning about the little things aren't going to make a difference. And it all probably comes down to goal setting and what you want out of it. So what about recovery? I mean, you do all these amazing videos. You teach, you coach, you roll and do your own training. Then you go away and do like competition and stuff. You've got a young family, so you're of course going to be getting battered by your kids because that's like everybody I know who's got young kids is constantly trying to escape them. What do you find in terms of recovery? How do you kind of deal with the bruises and niggling injuries, or is the love of the sport enough to overtake it? Are you a fan of massage guns, hot baths with herbal salts, all these kind of stuff, hot saunas, cold showers? What's your go-to recovery protocol?
Yeah. So for me, like I'm probably not the best, person to answer this only because I don't do as much as I should. And I understand that because like I'm too busy to do it. And it kind of just comes down to like, you got to do what you got to do anyways. It's like, you can't like all these things 100% help, but if you got to get the job done, you got to like sacrifice and you got to be doing things even if you don't feel like doing it, which, is just part of life. But, definitely optimally, massage guns aren't like the best, to be honest. Like I've heard a lot of things saying that they're kind of useless, but like ice baths certainly can help, especially with your testosterone and your recovery and stuff like that. I need to start doing more ice baths. I need to start taking better care of myself 100%. Like I know the things I need to do, but like it's just finding time to do it because all my time is spent working. Like I work. That's all I do. 24/7, everything's jujitsu. And, but that's what I got to do for my family, right? So that's how I provide for my family, and that's just a sacrifice you make as a father and as a man. So like that's just the way it is. Like, but definitely, I would like to treat myself better and recover better, and but more, it's usually small things that are free. Like anything for recovery that you need to spend money on probably isn't going to be your best use of your time and money. Like all these things are free to actually truly recover. Like being like stress relief is like so important. That's like the main one, not being stressed. Because again, you can't recover if your body's in a state of stress. It's just the way it is. You're either in a parasympathetic state or a sympathetic state, and which basically means either stressed or recovering. So there's only two, it's binary. There's only two. So I would recommend people reduce their stress and, take care of their body, get enough, eat right. For a long time, I just lost 15 pounds because for a long time, I was not taking care of my body. Like, I was like 195 pounds. I was eating so much food and just like processed food, or whatever, because I just didn't have time or I guess the energy to take care of myself. But now I'm kind of going into kind of like a transitional phase where I'm really prioritizing my own health and my own mental well-being. And because, it's hard I can still do the things that I want to do if I don't take care of myself, but it's going to be much harder. So I don't want to make it harder for myself. I want to, get very healthy. And I recommend everyone do the same thing, prioritize their health and their well-being and their mental well-being. And life becomes a lot easier that way.
I suppose that's a big thing into it, is a lot of people will be saying, but what do I do for diet? What do I do for sleep? And you're like you're saying, just de-stress better, look to eat better, look to take care of yourself better. Most people, that would change them in their life. It would change their jiu-jitsu, it would change everything, just by just generally be better at the basic components. And then you can start dialing in all these other things. These are kind of for dialing in for elite athletes, whereas most people, it's just stop eating shit, sleep better, focus on this. I mean, that leads me into a perfect question for you. Now, you produce amazing content. You're learning how to edit and do all these amazing things. You're creating courses. You've got a beautiful family. You've got an amazing relationship with your partner. You're juggling so many conflicting demands. How the hell do you keep doing stuff on such an elite level? Because I'm trying to do it and I'm all over the place. Have you found habits to do it, or do you just know that you're providing and this is what you need to do? What makes
Yeah, I would
you
say,
able?
like, I just kind of see like the light at the end of the tunnel in a sense. I know if I work hard now, I can set myself up for a future of success. I know that the course will be successful, help me financially and all this. And, that's like, yeah, I just kind of do it for my family. And, but 100%, like, yeah, it's not easy, but, life isn't easy. I just accept that, like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. But like I'm also very lucky that like this is what I do for a living. I think it's harder for people that work a day job. Now they got to come to jiu-jitsu, or they got to maybe they're a content creator, but they also have like a job on the side. But like this is all
This
I
guy.
do. So like yeah, that's what I mean, right? I can definitely sympathize with people in your position because you have a lot on your plate, just like I do, but it's just kind of different. So like yeah, like it helps me a lot just being like having the freedom I have, like being self-employed and kind of like be able to choose what I need to do and stuff like that.
So do you think the doing the channel, creating this content, like getting to do the BJJ fanatics instructionals, like your podcast, interviewing these amazing people, commenting, etc. Has this made you a better grappler because it's opened you up into maybe areas of jiu-jitsu that you'd maybe not venture into? Or like what do you want from this? Are you just wanting to keep making people better at jiu-jitsu? Is there an evolution of the brand? Has it made you better, and where do you want to take this?
Yeah, it's definitely made me way better. So like it's just insane because I felt like when I started the channel I was pretty good, and but like now I feel like I would just crush that old version of myself. I feel like I'm so much more technical and so much a better of understanding because teaching you really learn so much. And yeah, I really like, if I need to simplify stuff for my audience, it like simplifies it for me too. So like I feel like now, honestly, I feel like I've reached like a new level. And, you know, part of me wants to prove that, you know, I can beat anyone. That's like my own opinion. But like, you know, I know that's like, it's going to take a lot of mental energy and physical energy from me to prepare for that kind of stuff. I don't know. And I go back and forth between wanting to compete or not, because like it's a bit of a selfish thing too. It's like I want to compete just for glory, just to show people that I'm good, that I'm good, right? So like I don't know if that's the best motivation, like because deep down I don't really want to do it. But like, you know, what I do want to do is help people learn jujitsu and make it not confusing for them. Because again, I think so many people unintentionally gatekeep jujitsu by making it so freaking confusing. And you know, like the way my mind works, it's like I need things simplified, because I remember like when I was like learning jiu-jitsu back in the day, you know, the instructor would show me, you know, they would teach whatever it is, and I would go back and I wouldn't remember anything, and it would be so hard for me to like actually get it down. And no one told me these like simple objectives. And now that I understand these simple objectives, it's made my own jiu-jitsu so much better. Like I can just like do like next to nothing and defend myself just fine. So yeah, I think there's a lot of value in teaching and watching your own rolling footage. I think everyone should do that. And yeah, they'd improve quickly if they did that.
And what are you in terms of reviewing? You know, because you mentioned earlier about how you kind of like muscle memory and you kind of switch off. I heard you mentioning about having bipolar. Was it bipolar?
Yeah, so I think I've been misdiagnosed with bipolar, to be honest. Maybe I do have it, but like I'm certain I have ADHD, and it's yeah, I'm 100% certain, even though my doctor yeah, he thinks it's bipolar, but it's whatever. But you know, that's really like my whole like personality in life. I just I can focus on things that I want to, but things that I don't, I cannot focus on at all. So I think being ADHD has helped me a lot teach jiu-jitsu and learn jiu-jitsu, because I need it simplified. I can only think like with something specific for like 5 or 7 seconds. Then my mind goes to something else. So like that's
Yeah.
also why like my videos, yeah, at first were like really like way faster paced, because if I felt like even bored for a second while I was editing it, I'd be like, I got to do a cut right now, you know? So like,
Mhm.
you know, that, yeah, that's really influenced the channel in my whole life.
Because I suffer, like I've got obsessive compulsive disorder, so I focus like shit, you know. Like, but I also suffer from intrusive thoughts. You know, I had the whole depression, season afflictions, or whatever it is, and I can remember being on medication and it didn't really work. And then there were days I was rolling and it would quieten it, like my head would just switch off, and I was like, "How do you bottle this? This is amazing." And then suddenly, kind of all the noise would come back, and when I would have a bad session, I would hyper focus on I did that bad. I got tapped in that. I was shit in the, you know, the pod game where there's like you're down on the floor and for 2 minutes you've got to defend about people who just come in one after like I think Shark. It's like a mini game of Shark Tank kind of thing, and it's I found that mental health issues kind of go in jujitsu, and that's such an amazing, like I highly recommend anybody with mental health issues to do jiu-jitsu. And that's why I was so chuffed when I heard that, because that you were saying how you used it, and I need to get back. Like I got signed off with digestive issues recently. I feel like Gordon Ryan just now. And I started thinking I need to get back to it, because I notice my mental health goes down without jiu-jitsu. Do you find that while you're doing all these additional stuff, that if you're staying still, you find more mental struggles, mental challenges come in, maybe? If
Yeah,
it's not too
100%.
personal question.
Oh no, I never mind talking about my mental health, because like, you know, I like to let people know I'm no one special. You know, I don't think anyone is. I don't put anyone on the pedestal, you know. So I like to be honest just with everything. So, you know, yeah, I think jiu-jitsu has helped my mental health a lot, but like this last like year or two, my mental health has not been great at all. And so I'm really happy with how much I achieved, considering like I was not in the best mental state. But like, you know, now this is also a reason why I'm trying to, you know, just get healthier, eat better, and just take care of myself more, take care of my mind more, because, you know, it's just, I have the same problem too. Like my stomach was just messed up for a while. I don't know what was going on. And, you know, it was really zapping my motivation and my energy. So I was like, well, I got to do everything I can to get healthy. So yeah, I cut out all like processed foods and just started like, taking more time for myself and just, I think just like understanding things too more, like, because sometimes like, negative comments would get to me and stuff like that. And I was being kind of like super sensitive about it. But when you have ADHD, I forget what it's exactly called, but you get very affected by someone saying something negative about you. It's like, it hurts you even more than someone that's neurotypical. So yeah. And like, I really like wowing people and impressing people, which might sound like vain, but like I like making like videos and people just be like, this is amazing. That's just like, that's part of my motivation. I enjoy that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with is saying that, because, why would I not, but like, again, I'm like neurodivergent. It's like, I have different motivations than someone that's like neurotypical. So I think everyone with a mental illness should definitely do jujitsu, even people without, because yeah, it definitely provides you mental clarity and just time away from your mind. But yeah, one problem is that the better you get and the more you can rely on muscle memory, you can like still be in your head and just be doing the thing still. And you're just like thinking about other stuff, which I need to work on for sure. But I'm working on every aspect of my mental and physical health.
Because I can remember being in a conversation at work and I was thinking about another conversation and I was so into like almost both conversations. And I remember like thinking about like an ex breakup recently while I was dealing with a student and playing a character, but thinking in something else in my head. And jiu-jitsu was the first kind of thing where it kind of calmed me down. It just kind of opened up and allowed me to focus. And it's pretty easy when there's a ginormous guy diving on top of you, trying to choke you out. It's amazing how quickly in the moment you become at that point. But what's your like idea towards goal setting, reviewing? Do you kind of, do you use journaling? Do you find that jujitsu's your creative outlet, or do you like review classes with a notebook and take critiques about stuff, or do you find that just doesn't help because you focus on the negative? Are you a fan of note taking, goal setting, and stuff like that?
So I think that everyone is like different. So what works for some doesn't work for others. Like, I never have benefited from journaling or like, specific goals just because, or not specific goals, but like more like, yeah, like too much of goal setting just because like, I know what I want, so it's clear to me, like when I want something, I'm going to do everything I can to get it. So, but the problem can be definitely is finding motivation. And I don't think that just writing your goals down necessarily will make you motivated. You need to want it. So, like right now I'm working really hard on getting more students at the gym, because for a while the gym's doing good, but like for a while I was just focusing on the YouTube channel only and not really, it was more distant than I should have been. And, not advertising as much as I should have been. So like now, like I'm like putting an active effort into, making the gym just the best place to be and get people signed up in the door and just like, I don't need to like write that down and define it or anything. It's like, it's clear to me that's what I want right now. So, but I think some people that is very beneficial for and taking notes and stuff like that. But, yeah, not for me, but definitely for some.
And what are you like with instructionals and, like think because during COVID especially, everybody bought jujitsu instructionals and, do you think there were like well, obviously you think they're worth it because you've got your own through BJJ fanatics, etc. But how should we use them to become better? I mean, I bought a ton of them. How can we start using them and going to class and learning at the same time and implementing it? Is that a good time to watch the stuff and think I'm going to try that in a role and go to do all the stuff I need to do in class, but in the role I'm going to try this takedown or this pin or this etc. Is that how we would use them to sort of build into our repertoire, etc.?
Yeah. So I would like focus on, just like a couple things at once only. And because I think that people can definitely have information overload. And like, for me, for example, like I can't read like a book. I wish I could, but like my mind won't stay focused long enough. And it's the same with like instructionals. It's like I can watch it and then the information just goes right out of my head. So like I need it very simplified. So yeah, watching instructionals and I think maybe taking notes in that case would be good if you can really, break down what they're saying into smaller points, which to me is something they should have been doing anyways, because I think a lot of instructors just talk way too much and confuse the shit out of people. I think you need to go into the role with like specific objectives from your instructional. If you watched it, you want to hit this, and if you don't get it, you go for this. Like just like two things, like A/B systems, and you can find that within watching the instructionals. But again, I think that the instructor should do a better job of making it simple for people.
I definitely agree, because I used to ask that question to everybody, and they would say, do this. And then I can't remember who it was, said, the first thing to do is watch the damn things, because hardly anybody actually watches them. And I remember sitting there going, fuck, I can't remember actually putting them on. I'd watch 10 minutes and get bored of it, because I kind of learn as I go. And I started using Evernote, which is a great tool, free in most cases, and kind of building a chain of, if I do this, and taking notes of things. And it seems to help me to do it later on. But I think that's probably a good thing, is people are saying, it's like you mentioned earlier, is, look to be healthy. Don't worry about your diet. Try fix this. Try be healthier rather than I need to do this, and this. It's kind of dialing in the general stuff, then focusing on the stuff as you become more elite, etc. I think that's a great way as well of instructionals. Watch them first, then try to use them, then take notes, and so because how many people actually use them rather than talk about it and get nowhere? Like you're saying, jiu-jitsu, you shouldn't need somebody to get you to go to class and stuff. And I think that's a good way of looking at it. I know I've used up far too much of your time. So what would you want people to take from this before I can get you on for a round 2 and get you on with some other great guests, etc.? That's if you want to come back, obviously. What would you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What would you want people to take as a go-home message, like a reminder from this? If you had to sum it up, you can do key points. You could say one general message. What do you want people to remember about jiu-jitsu from listening to you?
Yeah, I guess like my advice would be to people should just enjoy jiu-jitsu, think less about the minor the minor like details of it, of like this and that. Just like make it so simple for yourself rather than like this like super complicated thing. And just like focus on having fun, and just that's the most important thing. I think that's the worst thing happening in jiu-jitsu right now, is people take it way too serious. And being someone that's been in the sport so long, I took it serious for a long time too, and I still do. But like, I don't even take myself serious half the time. I think that's just the way people should be. Just like just relax. Yeah. I guess it's not a great answer, but I just wish people would just enjoy jiu-jitsu more, for sure. Just relax.
That's definitely something I'm taking from this, rather than thinking I need to be the best and go back to being a beginner, enjoying it and not taking it seriously. And I'm definitely going to take all these amazing tips from your videos, etc., and like stuff you mentioned today. But how can people follow you? How can we do you accept drop-ins to your gym? How can we connect with you on social media? How can we buy the products that you mentioned earlier, the new course, etc.? And how can we follow on this amazing journey? Because, suddenly you had 0 followers, and then you went to 400,000 like it was nothing. Now you're creating content. Now you're on BJJ Fanatics. You're undefeated in MMA, etc. You're going places. No matter what you do, you seem to win at everything. How can we follow along in this amazing journey you're on?
Yeah, thank you. And the best place definitely is Instagram, Jordan Teaches Jiu-Jitsu. That's where like I post the most like amount of like updates and the kind of more a personal approach. And check me out on YouTube, Jordan Teaches Jiu-Jitsu. And that's basically it. Yeah, just Instagram, YouTube.
Well, that's it for another week, and thank you for listening. It's now time to take what you've learned and use it to develop and enhance your life with the key points mentioned. Listen, try it, embrace it, use it, and crush it. Now's your time to hit that next level in your life. If you liked this episode, then please leave a comment on the show notes or a review of the show on your podcast platform. Everything helps evolve the show. Until next week, keep seeking the next level in your life.